Hello. I know when I started making these
Mhm.
videos, I was going to make them so that I would produce one a week. But I thought about it last night and I thought, oh man, that's going to take me a long time. A lot can happen in a year. So I decided to post a new chapter as often as I am able. So I'm going to start off with this. What I did yesterday was reading out of Dad's Old Truck, Volume 1, and I read Chapter 1, uh, which was A Stick in the Eye. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll read today Chapter 2, which is Rugs to Rags. I'm sorry, Rags to Rugs. I get that backwards every time I say that. Anyway, title is Rags to Rugs, a childhood memory from 1956. We were not wealthy by a long shot. The truth be told, we were only in the middle of the lower class when it comes to money. But I remember never going to bed hungry or cold. We always had a decent house over our head, and we enjoyed some entertainment. Dad always had a pickup of some kind. We kids would beg to ride in the truck in the warmer months because it was so much cooler for us than to be stuck in the back seat of a car without any air conditioning. As often as we could, we would ride in the back of the old pickup. However, on this trip, it would be raining, so we were relegated to the back seat of the car. We took trips and we traveled to visit relatives. We sometimes made those trips into vacations. Dad would work quite a bit. I guess it took a lot to feed 5 children that he had. Mom was a keeper at home unless things were very tight in the money department. In that event, Mom would take a job for a little while. Mom thought it very important to be with her children as much as she could. My mother had lost her father at an early age, and her mother had died a year or two before that. Mom was an orphan at about age 7. She could not remember much about her father, and what she did remember came back to her in a different light as she began to get older. Mom held her father on a pedestal and thought he had done no wrong. Later in life, she would recall things that made her father just a normal man when all was said and done. Her father worked for the county in which he lived and drove a horse-drawn road grader. So mom's family was not as poor as others during the Great Depression. After mom's mother was hospitalized for the last 2 years of her life in Little Rock, mom began to try to take up some of the woman's duties of the house. When mom's father died, the family was split, and mom's little brother went to live with one of the aunts, her father's sisters, over in Muskogee, Oklahoma, which was a long way from Ozark, Arkansas. That was very hard on mom and her sister, Aunt Helen, who was only 5 when this happened. Uncle Bill, mom's only living brother, was 3 years old when Grandpa died. The poorest aunt that mom had was Aunt Dovey, and she raised mom and Aunt Helen. Aunt Dovey was a neat old gal. Her husband was Uncle Argus. He liked to raise fighting roosters. I never heard anyone talk about it, but I think he made his living from those chickens. It was not illegal at that time. He was a scary old fella to a kid 6 years old. He used foul language and he talked quite loudly. Today, you would say that he was an in your face kind of fella. He was still nice and friendly, and I liked him a lot. He was a little like a grandfather figure to me. Uncle Argus would tell of his fighting roosters with such enthusiasm, you would be naturally drawn into the stories that he told. These birds had weapons he called spurs that he could attach to their legs where the natural spurs grew. Those spurs were twice as long as the natural spurs and were lethal to their opponents. Uncle Argus showed me a pair of chicken spurs and how they were attached to the birds. Uncle Argus had great pride in his birds and let you know he was a coarse man and a little intimidating, but he also was a lovable and interesting fellow. He wore what I called farmer pants at his bib overalls and railroad boots. He carried pouch, so get that out. He carried a pouch of Bull Durham and wrapper papers in his shirt pocket. The pouch was a little cloth bag, kind of a brown color, and had bright yellow drawstrings to close it. He could roll a cigarette as well as anyone I'd ever seen. Most who smoked used either Bull Durham or PA, which stands for Prince Albert tobacco, which came in a flip top can. They were more expensive than Bull Durham. These are the things I remember about Uncle Argus. When we would arrive at their house, and Uncle Argus would come running out at full throttle to meet me and say in a very loud and gruff voice, Curtis, where in the hell have you been, boy? I've been waiting for you. It scared me unbelievably. Now, I was like one of those little puppies that ran for safety and hid behind his mama. When things were calmed down, it was just fine. Well, that describes my interaction with my Uncle Argus and me, and we had that interaction every time we came to visit him. He would always give me a hug after, and after I had calmed down, I still liked him and missed him to this day. He has long since passed away. I remember on one visit to Aunt Dovey's house, she taught Mom how to make rugs out of worn out clothes. Mom always had a project going above the normal household duties, of which, if she could, she would include the kids with some menial task. We would be overjoyed to help in such an important duty. My memory goes back to a cold, windy, and snow filled days. This was before television, and children had to be kept busy or they would be underfoot all day long. Mom decided to make one of those rugs Aunt Dubby had taught her about. This kind of rug requires that you take old clothes and take them apart, unseam them. You would tear them into strips of cloth about an inch wide. The strips are then woven like a braid on a girl's head into long ropes. And mom would then stitch these ropes into a circle or an oval, and they would be throw rugs for the bedroom or even in the living room. We all had one. The floors were covered in these long winter nights with those kind of rugs. Mom did a lot of sewing to keep the children in clothes. Flour came in bags that could be taken apart and used for clothing. We would often outgrow the clothes. I don't remember much about secondhand shops then. There may have been some. I don't think I ever went into one. I do remember we kept all the old clothes we outgrew and would give them to the needy when we learned of their need. So we always had a few boxes of old clothes somewhere around the house. On this blustery day, we were told to bring the two boxes of old clothes and sort them by color. Mom wanted the light colored together and the dark colors together. Then we separated them by their colors into six or maybe more different piles. At that point, Mom began to disassemble the clothes, and we helped by pulling the stitching apart where we could. This gave us such great joy because we were always told to be careful with our clothes and not to rip them. This almost seemed like too good to be true. It was bad fun, sanctioned by our own mother. We had already been told we would get to rip these rags into strips, and we could hardly wait to do so. It it is not amazing, is it not an amazing thing to bring such joy to children? At least before the electronic age came along and disrupted all these kinds of things. Oh, what we lost then. At any rate, we were so excited about the ripping of clothes, we got straight to the work of pulling apart the seams. Now that our work was done with the seams, the play could start. We chose which color we wanted. As I remember, I got green, but my older sister, who was a year older and much wiser, took the blue colors. She got a much larger stack of rags to work, and I was disappointed. But 1 year in a child so young could show a strength and dexterity. I was not ready for such a large stack of rags. As we got to work, the giggles and the outright laughter rang through the house like we were being tickled by some invisible hand. We spent the whole afternoon in the pursuit of happiness as we worked together to help Mom make rags. Mom's eyes would light up as though we had done some wonderful thing as we ripped the rags. We each would take turns to try to impress Mom with the talent we had to rip rags. This afternoon passed so quickly that before we knew it, it was time to stop and prepare dinner. I remember many days that went just that way before the electronic age. We each got our own rags or that were made into the rugs we kept as we spent much time that winter helping Mom make them. As we assembled each successive time, the work was a little less fun. But we always had fun working with Mom. There were many projects we did with Mom as we were young, and they became fewer and fewer as we gained more outside interest while we grew. Our friends soon took us away from those youthful days of frolic, and friends replace mom as the center of our lives. But such is the course of a child's life as they expand their interest, and soon the time we can influence them is gone forever. We must not miss the opportunity to turn off the television and do a project with our young ones to generate memories that will last a lifetime. I'm 73 now. Mom's gone, dad's gone. A 6-year old's memory may not be exact to reflect what happened that winter day all those years ago, but this is how I will always cherish the days of my youth when we didn't have to stop to catch our favorite program. It's set in my heart to value the time we can spend with everyone. There is no program that can generate such an emotional response that will last a lifetime. Hope you enjoyed this story. That's chapter 2 in Dad's Old Truck. And the next time I will do Over the Abyss, another childhood memory from 1957. Enjoy. May God bless you. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe, and you will get a notification every time I publish a story. Until next time, God be with you. Well, well, well. There we go. I got it.